Hey guys, and welcome to Pheas Airsoft, where today I'm going to unbox the CYMA CM.033 or M1A1 Thompson. So I just want to make a note on safety. Whether I'm disassembling, unboxing, chronoing, whatever it is I'm doing, I always make sure I'm in a completely safe environment. So that means most of my videos I'm always wearing eye protection just to make sure that my eyesight stays safe. Before I do that, I always make sure that there's no ammunition in any of the mags or in the gun itself. I make sure that the mags are unloaded and unwound to make sure that nothing can happen with that. Obviously, if I'm chronoing, then I've absolutely definitely got my eye protection on to protect myself. I even make sure that my batteries are removed and out of the way so that I know I'm in the safe environment. I also make sure that there's nobody else around as well either, so I'm always in a safest possible environment. If you are working with airsoft stuff, please make sure you do the same. Hi guys, and welcome back. If you do enjoy this video today, please do like and subscribe because you'll be really helping me out. So here we've got the last of the unboxings from the July Taiwan Gun orders, and it is the turn of the M1A1 Thompson. So nice plain simple box, nothing really special about it. It's like what kind that we see with a lot of the sort of budget guns. This was obviously really affordable, less than sort of £100. I'll put a link down below. We also got a drum mag, which I'll show you in a minute. So I'll get this lid out of the way, and there it is. I do like Thompsons. I don't know what it is. They're really uncomfortable to me because I've got pretty big hands and I find my hands don't fit very nicely around the pistol grip, but I do like them. So let's have a look at the paperwork. So we've got the usual target and polish safety information. We've got the chronoing sheet, so it's doing just about between 330 FPS and 338. I would expect it to settle to about 330 FPS on the dot, which for the UK, that's absolutely perfect. That's exactly where we want. And the fact that Taiwan Gun have downgraded it for me for free, that's brilliant as well. So I'll lift that, and there it is. Now, the wood is plastic. It's not actually wood, and it's quite convincing actually, particularly from a distance, and that's important to a lot of people. So we've got I believe a 450 round or thereabouts high cap mag in there. Okay, that's one side. We've got the 2-pin charger, which for me is no good, but I know a lot of people can use, particularly in Europe. We've got an 8.4 volt 1100 milliamp battery, which I'll put on charge for the rate of fire test. We've then got a little sling. Now the slings are okay, and it's a cool little add-in that they've got in there, but what I will say is that the metal clips on it will break fairly quickly because they're quite soft, weak plastic, and the ones I've tried to use before, I don't think I've ever actually got through a full day's airsoft without it breaking, you know, on the first event sort of thing. So yes, it's cool, and it is nice that it's in there, but be prepared for that to break. And then last but not least, there it is, the Thompson. Now, there is a fair bit of weight to that, and I mean a fair bit of weight. We're looking at mostly, other than the, obviously, the plastic handguard, pistol grip and stock, we are looking at a metal construction in the majority there. So it has got some fair bulk to it, and it feels lovely. The mag itself, you've got your mag catch here, mag release, and I find it's easier. The mag it slides up in that railing there, and the mag does usually click in. Sometimes it can stick a little bit, so I find if you just hold the mag catch in, as though you're letting the mag out, it'll go in much easier and it clicks in place. So I'll drop that out a second. So going from the front sight is actually cast as part of the outer barrel. So it does look initially like it should come out, but upon further inspection and closer inspection, you can see it's actually cast as part of the outer barrel itself. So, you know, can't be removed as such or changed. We've then got obviously the plastic handguard. You've got your sort of sling loop there. You've got a screw for removing the handguard. There will be a disassembly later this week for you to see how to disassemble this and what it's like internally. You then got obviously the rest of your upper receiver, which is mostly in one piece. You've got your rear sight post. You've got your hop unit here for adjusting your hop. I believe you roll it up to add hop and down to take hop off. Oh no, it might be the other way actually. Can't remember which way it goes. We'll check out that later. Charging handle doesn't lock back or anything, but it adds a nice feel. It sounds pretty nice. How long that will last, I'm not entirely sure, so please do be careful. You know, same with like MP5s and things. We all love a bit of a HK slap, but unfortunately, you know, it's bound to cause some damage and ping off in the end. So you can, I believe, lock it back and then obviously knock it forward. You've got a metal trigger in there. The pistol grip is unusually large, and I believe, if I remember correctly, the plastic of this is pretty thin, and it's mostly just filled out with the motor itself. But it's, for me, I've got pretty big hands, and that gap in there is just not quite big enough to get my hand in comfortably, and I'm under a bit of compression from the stock coming down there. So I'm holding it like that. You know, eventually that's going to cause me a little bit of discomfort, but other than that, the actual pistol grip itself, the way it's shaped and moulded, is really, really comfortable and actually nice to hold, and it's a good size to get my hand round, get hold of the trigger and get firing. Your selectors then, so you've got one that controls fire and safe, then you've got one that controls single and full auto, and they're just little toggle switches which need to be flicked about. I'm pretty sure that as part of the disassembly these need to come off, but we'll figure that out during the disassembly video. You then come to your stock then, so you've got a plastic stock, which is big and bulky but feels really solid. Now, the plastic itself, there's the tiniest bit of creak and tiniest bit of movement, but nothing that you would think, oh, that's really bad or really poorly built. It feels really solid and really weighty. To get to your battery, first thing you need to do is pull this down. When you pull this down, it releases a catch inside. At that point then you can pull this assembly up, famous last words, and then it swings out of the way. And it's on like a spring-loaded screw system down here. So this pops up and then goes back in, click that in, and your stock's locked back in again. So that allows you to do the battery change during a game. Now in here they have got a lot of inner mouldings in here. Let's see if there we go. A lot of inner mouldings in there to obviously reinforce the structure of that. Now you can easily get the included mini type battery in there without any issues whatsoever. And there's still, I will show you, drop that in there. You know, there's a lot of depth in there, a lot more depth in there than you think, and a little bit more room, so you could get a slightly bigger battery than a NIM type mini battery in there. So obviously, particularly lipos, you can get sort of 2200 milliamps and bigger in very similar size sort of dimensions to that, which would run this thing all day long. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut to the footage of it being rate of fire checked and the range check, and then we'll come back and to some final thoughts. Find that mag. So from the range check then, it was easily getting out to sort of like 30 to about 40 meters. Very comparable to the XM, the M16. You know, the CYMAs of late are absolutely brilliant across the range, and they just seem to be very, very, very consistent across the board. Rate of fire, again, we've seen the same thing again, where they included an in type, which we fully charged up, was producing a better rate of fire than a 7.4 volt LiPo, which is great. The only problem is this is not going to last that long on a full day's skirmishing. You know, you're going to need at least 2 or 3 of these, particularly if you're trigger happy. And the actual life expectancy of that battery is probably not going to be very long before it ends up sort of dying on you and not being usable anymore. But it was nice to see that it got a better rate of fire than the 7.4. On the 11.1 we did sort of get like 18-19 rounds per second, but we did find that the mag struggled to keep up with it at times, and we were having to wind it because some of the lower readings were purely because the mag wasn't feeding. Now this is something that we've seen with, for example, the UMP, where the mag, the winding system is just tiny and it's just not able to keep up with the constant feeding of it. Now what we didn't get to test out properly was the drum mag, or not on that occasion anyway. I have since been out and tested the drum mag, and the drum mag kept up with it far, far better. Because in here you've got a much larger capacity for BBs, and you've got a much bigger winding system. So we found that this, and it does look really impressive when it's in there. You know, who doesn't love a Tommy gun style look, where you've got that drum mag in there? And we found that was much more capable. So the sort of 18-19 rounds a second on 11.1 were not an issue when we use this. All I would say is with both systems, they're going to need to be kept wound up regularly, particularly the smaller one. If you're just going to run this mag, keep it wound up constantly. So you know, as site renters will know, they often tell you with high caps, let off 20-30 rounds, wind it back up, because that dead man's trigger could be the case of you're dead in the game instead of getting the winning kill. So it's just something to be aware of. The box mag itself fed absolutely brilliantly, and we sort of put about 1,000 rounds out of it and forgot to take our camera so it could film it, but absolutely just fed along, absolutely happy as you could imagine, and the winding mechanism worked really, really nice. It does add, what I will warn you against is, it does add a significant amount of extra weight to this. So it's going to be a whole lot heavier, to the point where you could basically just run it as a support gun, because your mag is that big and the whole thing is that heavy now. It's, you know, it makes for a really impressive bulk. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the batteries back into it so you can hear it shooting properly. So we'll start off with the included 8.4 volt NIM. So turn it to fire, single shot. Obviously, for an included battery, I'm getting more and more impressed as time goes on that these included batteries are better than I initially expected them to be. Full auto then, it's pretty steady away, sort of 12 to 13.5 rounds a second. Next we'll go for the 7.4 volt Nupro LiPo that we always use. We'll go single again. Now I can't discern much difference between the 7.4 and the 7.2 and the 8.4. There's very little to me auditorily in it, where I would struggle to know that there was much difference, but there is. The sort of 7.4 was doing 11 to 12 rounds a second, where the 8.4 was doing sort of 12, 13 rounds a second. So not much in it, but something, and particularly if you're one of these people where rate of fire really matters to you, that's obviously something to be aware of. Last but not least, we'll go for the 11.1. Single shot. Obviously that's instant snapping over. Full auto then. Now that to me is more the kind of rate of fire you would expect from a Thompson. You know, with the limited reference point I have, being sort of like Saving Private Ryan and things like that, I'm pretty sure they're renowned for pretty high rates of fire. So that is close to what you would expect from a real sort of thing, is that higher rate of fire. So I'm really impressed with that. I'm looking forward to getting into the internals and seeing what it's like. It's been a long time since I've worked on a Thompson at all, so I'm looking forward to that, and obviously that will be out later this week. I will leave the usual photos I hope that's been useful to you, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.